Good morning, all. Welcome to our weekly meditation town hall. Today we are so fortunate to have Lama Roger joining us again. And if you were with us last week, you know what a great session he led. And this week I'm sure will be the same. My name's Menla, and I would like to start with a few announcements. As you can see on the screen, we have the Fall Awakening Residential Retreat, if you can see that, and that's coming up in October. And then we have the day long, which is a good prep for that, in September. This is the one that was scheduled in June. Awake and Aware, Sangha Live, Living Community. So that will be coming up. And then we have our fifth go around with the master class starting in September. It's once a month through April. And lots of exciting topics this year. The liberating Dharma explained in 5, 6s, and 7s. But as I said a couple weeks ago, it's going to take us 8 sessions to do it. Thank you for being here today. We look forward to having you join us every week, as well as all of our special events that are coming up. So I am now going to turn this over to Lama Roger. And as he always does, he leads us in our practice and then takes questions at the end. So if you have questions, this is a perfect time to ask them when he's here with us today. So thank you, Lama Roger, for being here. So nice to see you.
Thank you, Menla. And what a gift to be with everyone. Let's take a moment just to delight in this gift of being together. Scattered around the country and even the world as we are, but here we have a chance of being together and exploring Dharma and practice. What a gift. Maybe I'd like to take a few slow, deep breaths just to settle into this moment. Breathing in, and on the out breath, just letting go. Breathing in, letting go. Breathing in, and just letting go. Falling into the present moment. And be aware of your whole body. And be aware of the environment, open awareness to just register the entire environment. And come back to the body and just notice awareness filling the body. Notice awareness in the body, the whole body. And now notice your body in awareness. Notice your body in awareness. Good. Now just take a moment to appreciate this beautiful moment right now. Be aware of everything that's happening right now. And take a moment to reflect on your good fortune in being here, having this time and health and ability to be able to practice the gift of being with community, with Sangha. With having what Tibetan Buddhism calls a free and well-favored life, free of the things which would prevent us practicing, from warfare and turmoil to debilitating illness, and favored, free and well-favored, favored with the good fortune to have heard of the Dharma, have found teachings, have found this community. To be able to practice and cultivate benevolent qualities of heart and mind, love. I'm just going to actually mention a few qualities that practice cultivates, and I invite you as I name each one just to let them arise and resonate in you. You don't have to do anything, just let them impact. Because in the sensitive, aware mind that you have developed through your practice, there's what is called in Buddhist psychology a malleability and agility of mind, so that sometimes simply hearing a quality named is enough to bring it into awareness. So just relax, open awareness, and be grateful that you've had the privilege of cultivating the quality of relaxation. That you've softened your heart so that you can feel love. Love. And that your gentle, soft heart, mind can feel care for people, for creatures. And you can feel compassion for the suffering. Compassion. And empathic joy at the joy of others. empathic joy, just delighting in the happiness of others. And think how different the world would be if everyone had the opportunity and made the opportunity of cultivating these qualities. And how wonderful it would be if we were able to help people in cultivating qualities such as these. It's the beautiful thing about these kinds of heart-mind qualities is that there's a natural desire for others to have them too. And with that recognition, you've opened into the bodhisattva aspiration, which is that we may be able to serve the welfare and awakening of all conscious creatures in whatever ways we can. And we recognize that the bodhisattva aspiration is actually what we most deeply want in our hearts. We tend to think of creating this aspiration, this desire to be an instrument of welfare and awakening for all. But actually what we find when we look really deeply is that this is our deepest aspiration. Yes, we want well-being and joy and awakening for ourselves, but we also want it for others. And there's a beautiful turning point in practice when we recognize that this is what we really want. We want the deepest well-being for everyone. And this would be a nice time to look at the Bodhisattva aspiration prayer. If you could put it up for us, Dory. Dory is our tech whiz helping us today. And here we are. So in English, in Buddha, Dharma, and supreme spiritual community, we go for refuge until fully enlightened by the power of all six perfections, from generosity to non-dual wisdom, for the sake of all beings. May we realize Buddhahood. That's an exquisite refuge and bodhicitta. It's like in our troubled world, where do we go? Where can we turn for trustworthy guidance and support? What can we take refuge in this troubled world? Well, we can trust the Buddha, symbolizing many things, but symbolizing teachers and symbolizing our own awakened nature. We can trust those teachers who've deeply practiced and committed themselves to the Dharma. We can trust the Dharma itself, which is, actually, Dory, if you could keep that up, be helpful. we can trust the Dharma itself, which has many meanings: the way, the path, the teachings, the nature of reality. We can trust the Buddhist teachings, which have been tested and tried over thousands of years by some of the greatest hearts and minds that have ever lived. And at a deep level, we can actually trust reality, which is a very profound and relieving recognition. And we can trust our spiritual community, those people like yourself who've dedicated themselves to the good, to truth, to service, to care, to compassion, to love, to joy, to generosity. And to cultivating these qualities, dedicating their lives to cultivating these qualities. And so, until we ourselves awaken, we can go, in traditional language, we can go for refuge. We can trust in these reliable resources of the teacher, the teaching, and our community. And with the desire to do the greatest possible good, we practice the six perfections: generosity, ethics, meditation, etc., ardency, all these qualities of heart, mind, these exquisite virtues that enable us to awaken and actualize ourselves as fully as possible, and to serve as fully and effectively as possible. And we do for the sake of all beings. We aspire to Buddhahood. We aspire to the fullest realization of our true nature and our capacities. And we do it not as a sacrifice, but as enlightened self-interest, knowing that cultivating these qualities is what allows us to be most fully ourselves, most joyfully ourselves, and to bring joy and awakening to others. Beautiful. So you can take that down now, Dory. Thanks so much. So last week we looked at what that might mean in our troubled world, what it might mean to find our way of expressing this aspiration. Because the Bodhisattva aspiration is an ideal and something we orient our life towards, not something we ever finally achieve, but it's a North Star, a direction we want our lives to move in. But each of us is called to express that and to serve and to contribute in our unique way. And so last week we looked at 4 questions that are really valuable ways of opening into the koan, the question, the life, the sacred question of finding our unique contribution. And so we spent some time exploring 4 questions. One is, what can I do? What contribution can I make? And the second question was, what do I feel called to contribute? What is it that really calls me? That tugs at my heart, that inspires me. And it's important to realize what kind of questions these are, because There are knowledge questions and wisdom questions, and knowledge questions have a one-time answer. What's the weather like? And you look out the window and you have your answer. But wisdom questions are questions that you can keep asking through a lifetime. And every time you do, they take you deeper into the question, deeper into yourself, and deeper into life. So the question, what do I feel called to do, is something that we may find different answers to at different phases of our life. And then the third question is, what's the most strategic thing I can do? What's the most strategic, effective contribution I can make, given my unique situation, my talents, my skills, my training, my connections? What would be my strategic contribution? And then the fourth question is clearly a lifelong one, and that is, how do I live my life so as to be an optimal instrument of service? And so those are orienting questions for us to find our unique expression of the Bodhisattva aspiration. The way we in our lives can fulfill our Dharma, our particular path. And so that raises the question of, well, we find what we're drawn to, what calls us. We explore what some strategic contributions might be. And then the question is, well, how do we do them? What's the most skillful way of making our contribution? And we're called to do a lot. We are called to practice so as to awaken, to purify, to relinquish distorting and destructive motives and emotions, sources of pain in ourselves and pain for others. We're called to cultivate our capacities and qualities, to clean up, to wake up, and to grow up. And we're also called to contribute as effectively as we can to show up. That's a lot. It'd be nice if there was a way of doing them simultaneously. And there is. And there's a way of doing our work and service in the world, or in fact, any activity in the world, in a way that it becomes part of our practice, a skillful, effective part of our practice. And so what I'd like to do is explore with you just how we can do that, how we can take any activity and transform it into a really skillful Dharma practice. And I want to suggest that we can break this down into 10 steps. That is, so before any activity, but particularly service activities, because we're thinking of the fulfilling our bodhisattva aspiration here, although things get interesting because once you realize the bodhisattva aspiration is about cultivating our capacity to be effective instruments of service, then you realize that any activity can be part of that practice. So there's no downtime. So with any activity, we can transform it into a practice. So I want to suggest that here are 10 steps that you can which will provide a framework for transforming any activity into effective practice. So So before you begin any major activity, and particularly before you begin, say, work or a contribution of some kind, first thing, stop. Just stop for a minute or two, or even just a few seconds, and get present. Take a few breaths. Yeah. Great. It can be something that's very simple. You know, you get in the car, and before you turn the car on and start driving, just stop and take 3 breaths. And I'm willing to bet it won't be many days before around breath number 2, a thought arises. And the thought that arises will be, I don't have time for this. And when that thought arises, take 6 breaths. You need it. We're so, our frenetic daily lives are so full that we're, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone, rushing through things. But for one, really find it makes a difference if I just take 3 breaths before I turn the car ignition. And so before beginning anything, just stop. Take a moment. Be present. Second thing, offer what you're doing for the good of all. That is, okay, may this serve the good of all. And now it's become part of the Bodhisattva aspiration. And then as a third step, you might like to set a specific intention for the activity. Okay, I mentioned driving. Okay, I'm really going to try and be as present as I can. Not gonna get lost in daydreams. I'm really going to be present through this activity, whatever it is. Choose your intention. What feels right for you? And just in the moment you stop, when you stop at the beginning, you can take a moment. What feels right? Is there some intention that would feel right for this moment and this activity? Okay, and then suppose you're at work, and the beauty of, I should say, the beauty of these, the offering and the setting intention is it can transform any activity into practice and into bodhisattvic aspiration. If you're doing your work, your job, you can do it either to make a living, make some money to, get through, or you can do it to make some money and touch as many lives as you can and be as helpful and uplifting to as many people as you can. And the beauty of doing the practice in this way, it doesn't take any more time. It's just an attitude or context you hold for doing what you're doing. But now you're infusing it with a bodhisattvic intent, aspiration and intent, a desire to bring well-being to everyone you touch. I was at a conference a little while ago, and before walking down to begin the conference, I just took a few minutes and we just felt into what would be what was the intention that called me, and what came up was, wow, it'd be really nice if everyone I interacted with walked away feeling better in some way. So that just became a very beautiful and beautifully rewarding practice for the conference. It's like, oh, okay, what would help this person? What would they enjoy? Well, it can be as simple as a smile, as someone pointed out very beautifully last week. But whatever it is, just find what calls you. And then every activity becomes part of practice. So first, stop. Second, offer this activity to the highest good. Set an intention. Find what intention calls you. Fourth, then attempt to do the activity as impeccably as you can. Really, whatever you're doing, really try to do it well. So you're really bringing your whole self to it. And that takes it out of just the mindless routine and repetition or whatever it is you're doing. It's like, okay, how can I really do this well? Whatever my job is, whatever this contribution is, whatever, whatever it is. And fifth, while you're doing the activity, bring as much awareness as you possibly can to it. Be really aware. Try to maintain, and of course this is challenging for all of us, but try to maintain as much continuity of awareness, of presence, of mindfulness as you can in each moment. And of course we lose it. We're present for a moment, we lose it, we wake up again, we fall asleep. As Ram Dass used to say, you fall asleep 1,000 or 1,000,000 times, but the game is to wake up 1,000,001 times. You just have to wake up one more time than you fall asleep. So, bring as much awareness as you can to the activity. And the sixth step is to explore and work with any reactions that arise. So as you do your work or make your contribution, there will be all sorts of reactions that arise. There'll be reactions to other people. People, get in the way or distract you or something. So maybe there'll be feelings of annoyance, anger. There'll may well be feelings of insecurity or unworthiness, or like, oh, I can't do this, or I'm too this or I'm too that. To notice those. And often there'll be reactivity to about how it's turning out. That is, you'll find you've gotten attached to this turning out the way you think it should. And you may experience anxiety about that or despair, because the ego tends to appropriate whatever we're doing and get attached to having it turned out the way it thinks it should. And so if you bring as much awareness to the activity as you can, you notice these reactions as they arise. And there's a beautiful thing about painful reactions or emotions. They bear a very precise relationship to attachment or craving to have things be a certain way. And for example, if we get anxious, if we get anxious when we don't know how things will turn out. We get angry with people who get in the way. We get depressed or hopeless if we feel we're not going to be able to achieve what we're attached to. There's a very precise relationship between painful emotions and the attachment. And painful emotions, emotional pain is like physical pain. It's a cue saying, pay attention to me. Something needs healing here. That's what the function of physical pain is. It's to tell us there's something in the body that needs attention and healing. And it's the same with emotional pain. Emotional pain is feedback. And it's feedback of a particular kind. It's telling us there's an attachment, an addiction of some kind that is being frustrated or threatened in some way. So, and once you get this, once you get that emotional pain is feedback, it shifts things, because you're either feeling good or you're getting feedback. And a pointer, pay attention. So these painful emotions are opportunities for healing depending on how we relate to them. And that's the key. It's how we relate to them. If, for example, anger or anxiety comes up and we condemn it and ourselves for having it, it just fuels it. Then we end up feeling anxious that we're anxious or angry that we're angry. It just sets off a vicious cycle. So the first step in working with painful emotions is, curiously enough, it's just letting it be okay for them to be there. Feeling into the resistance to having them and just letting it be okay to have, for them to be there. And it can be a very useful question to ask yourself, okay, just for this moment, can I let it be okay that I'm angry, or that I'm upset, or that I'm afraid, or whatever the emotion is, as a way of releasing the resistance? Because there are two really important principles to know about how the mind works. First is, what you're unwilling to experience sticks around in the mind till you are willing to experience it. You're unwilling to experience anger, it sticks around. You're unwilling to experience fear, it'll stick around. And whatever you're unwilling to experience runs your life, because your life is spent in avoiding that experience and the situations that evoke it. Okay. So those are really important principles to know about the way the mind works. So if we're in, of course, there are a lot of ways of working with painful emotions. If we can do it, the simplest is simply to remain aware and and the beautiful thing about awareness is that awareness is healing. Awareness has multiple beneficial qualities. First, when painful, destructive motives or emotions arise into awareness, if we can simply if we can maintain awareness and allow them to be there and be really aware of them, they tend to unravel and release. In technical psychological language, they decathect. The emotional charge is taken off them or deconditioned. So if we can do it, we simply allow these to be there and let them be in awareness. And of course, we can also work with them in specific ways. We can, there are multiple ways of working with with painful emotions. We don't have time to go into them in too much detail here now, but they range from psychotherapeutic to just to reflecting about them. If you're really angry with someone, you wish they were dead, be patient. They will be, and so will we. And just taking a moment to reflect on that can often release some of the charge. So we can reflect on these things. Okay. So we stopped. We offered the activity for the benefit of all. We set an intention. We've been doing the activity as impeccably as we can, with as much awareness as we can, and notice the reactions that come up and work with them as time and opportunity allows. Seventh step is to release attachment to the outcome. That is, when you're doing good works, good service, particularly if it's something that you feel is really important, reducing pollution or feeding the hungry, vitally worthy goals. It's very easy to get attached to the outcome and to having your activities work the way you think they should. But the knife edge of Dharmic practice in our activity in the world is to work as fully as impeccably as we can for the outcome we think is best, while simultaneously releasing attachment to the outcome and realizing ultimately it's not up to us. We can do our best. And we can't control everything. So releasing attachment to the outcome. And it's really that knife edge of really working as impeccably as we can while simultaneously releasing attachment to the outcome that makes this so powerful. Okay. So at the eighth step, at the end of the activity, stop again. Stop. Come centered. Give yourself a moment. And then reflect. Step number 9, reflect. Take a moment to consciously reflect and learn from what you've done and what you've experienced. What did you learn, for example, about doing this activity or service or contribution as effectively as possible? What did you learn about yourself? What are some things that you feel you really handled well? Is there anything that could have been handled better? What did you get attached to? And were there any painful emotions that arose that might be worth even going back to and exploring and releasing? Okay, and then finally, step number 10. And here we come to what we do at the end of each practice. We offer the benefits of what we've done, of all that we've done and all that we've learned, for the welfare and awakening of all. There's this paradoxical step. Okay, so you've worked as hard as you can, as impeccably as you can, you've learned as much. It's like you're offering all these benefits, giving them away. And there's a paradox to it, because this final step, the offering, is based on a beautiful appreciation of the way the mind works. And here's another really important principle to know about how the mind works. And it's this: what you intend for others, you tend to experience yourself. So if you're wishing, for example, love for others, may you be happy, loving. It's like naturally those feelings arise in us. When we offer the benefits, may you benefit from this. I offer anything, all the benefits. May you benefit. You strengthen those capacities and qualities in your own heart mind. Beautiful. Okay. And now I'm going to invite you, if you'd like, to do a brief meditation. And now you have an outline of how to turn any activity into another order of effectiveness of practice. I'm going to just invite you to do a practice. Now just invite you to think for a moment. What is some quality of heart or mind that would enable you to contribute more fully and effectively to do this practice, this kind of practice we talked about, as fully and effectively as you can? What is some quality of heart or mind that would really, really help you? And then think of someone who embodies this quality. Might be someone you know, might be a teacher, historical figure. Think of them. And then I invite you to, in a meditation, to see this person in front of you. This person who exemplifies and embodies this quality. And now see this person approaching you and merging with you, so that you are now one heart, mind, body. And you now embody this quality, this capacity. It's one of your great strengths. You know what it's like to embody this quality? And you may notice that associated with this particular quality or strength is a particular body posture. So I invite you to exaggerate that body posture and feel what it's like to really embody that quality and to express it in your posture. And this quality, this capacity is now a great strength and can be called forth by remembering your exemplar and by adopting this posture. Beautiful. And just rest in awareness, allowing everything we've explored and discussed and the practice you just did to work its effects on you, trusting your own mind to make use of this. Trusting that if you just rest in awareness, the innate wisdom of your own psyche will process and make use of all you've experienced. Beautiful. And when you're ready, bring your awareness back to our community. And if anyone would like to comment or question, please do. If you'd like to share an experience, something that came up for you, please do that. Yeah. Knowing that any experiences and insights we share become a gift for us all.
If you have anything, you can just go down at the bottom and click on the raise your hand so we know who will be speaking. That would be great. Thank you.
Edward. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, wonderful to hear you. I somewhat reluctantly, but what came to mind for me is, I mean, if you you'll excuse the Christian terminology, you can substitute Buddha for Christ or something,
Well,
if anyone wishes to, but I will, well, especially in the morning, I'll say the Lord's Prayer modified to my taste and 23rd Psalm. But I've started adding something that is sort of inspired by the Course in Miracles, which is one of my areas of study. And then, to counteract sort of a default resentment or something that I can feel toward folks, I will say, I'll say, Christ, Holy Spirit, let me see that everyone I encounter, everyone I interact with, everyone I see, everyone I think of, everyone I talk to, everyone who talks to me, and so forth, is Christ, whole, complete, and healed, forgiven for everything they never did, and released to the Holy Spirit, as am I, as am I, as am I. Thank you. So that affirmation, if you will, is something that I find helpful, in my daily rounds. And again, what you're teaching is really gold. And thank you.
yeah, beautiful. And certainly the spirit is, each tradition has its own flavor and perspective. And one of the beauties of our time is we can draw inspiration from multiple traditions. And we can translate if we want into Dharmic language or, fine. I personally am a great fan of the Course in Miracles. So worked with it for 30 years.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I read Ken Wapnick just about every morning, his commentary on sections of the book, and I find it very helpful because he's this brilliant psychologist. He actually redeems Freud, I suppose, because he refers to Freud's insights as being very valuable. Of course, he interprets it in his own light, or the light of the Course, but that was kind of interesting. But anyway, not to go on. Yeah, I recommend Ken Wapnick. He's got a lot of videos and stuff. But that's
anyway, and the general principle is that, the principle of seeing everyone, the true nature of everyone, Buddha nature, however we conceive that. But yes, it's a beautiful setting for the day. Hold that.
Yeah. I'm always
Thank
reminded
you.
of, I'm all here, I keep going on. I'm always reminded of Thomas Merton. You can Google him, experience at Walnut and Fourth, where just shopping in Louisville or wherever it is, he sees everybody basically as Christ. He says the only problem is if you're in this space, you might kneel down and start worshiping everyone because he saw the divine light of everybody. And and he wrote about it, the gifted writer that he was. And there's a plaque in Louisville or Knoxville or wherever it is, where the monastery is. So I add that. Hopefully that's all I'll add. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Lama, we have a question in the chat for you that says, we have guidance in meditation. How do we effectively practice meditative contemplation? We cannot ignore thoughts, but how far do we follow them and avoid going down the rabbit hole? And this might be the last one that we have time for.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of this practice, the Dzogchen practice, is we don't have to do anything. We just have to be aware of them. And to really be the key is really being as alert as possible to notice thoughts as they arise rather than being hypnotized by them and taken down the rabbit hole, as you say. The key in the practice is, yes, we rest in awareness, but we rest in a really fully as alert as we possibly can. It's a very useful practice periodically during a sitting to see if can you be more alert? Could you be really more alert? And sometimes it's very valuable to do practices, keep them short, of recognizing thoughts. And you sit and for 5 minutes is plenty long enough to just try and catch every thought that arises. And it's a very valuable practice because thoughts are like stealth bombers. They just really come in. They're so quick. They're so subtle. It's so easy to get caught by them. Let's see, we're about out of time. So a couple of things I just want to mention. One is I just want to acknowledge the value of retreats. So we have a couple of retreats coming up, both a day long and a week long. So retreat is it's such a powerful way of accelerating and deepening practice. So I want to put in a plug for that. And I also want to put in a plug for supporting the Dzogchen Foundation and Lama Surya's work and the way it enables this material, his teachings, etc., to get out further. And particularly consider becoming a member. It's a very particularly valuable way of supporting the community and the teaching and the Dharma, the teacher, the teaching, and the community. And thank you all for your practice and for being here. What a gift. And do we have anything, Dory, do we have anything else? Or can we end with a...
Just thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you, Lama Roger, for leading and a wonderful talk today. Thank you.
What a gift to be together. May all that we've experienced and learned and enjoyed together, may it all serve the welfare and the awakening of all. Have a wonderful week.